Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sunnyside podcast. Today, I am joined by Jason Vanzin. He is the CEO of the Right Hand Technology Group. They are an MSP based in Pennsylvania. Jason, how are you doing, sir? Thank you for coming on.
Doing great, man. I appreciate you having me on.
No worries, no worries. Jason, obviously, I've got a bit of an understanding of kind of what you guys are doing and a bit about your journey, but could you kind of summarize it a little bit, kind of about what you're doing, your role in Right Hand Technology, just to the viewers, if that's okay?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Right Hand Technology Group. Started in 2014. We're a managed service provider, but kind of I guess our big differentiator is we're very cybersecurity and compliance focused. So, very big in the DoD space, CMMC compliance. We're CMMC certified ourselves. But yeah, we manage everything from IT to cybersecurity to compliance. I like to say we kind of bridge the gap between those. So, one throat to choke versus, a bunch of finger pointing. So,
Nice work. So, who exactly do you work with? So, DoD, and is there any other industries as well, or?
well, it's not the DoD directly, it's the supply chain. So, all the little manufacturers who make some part that somehow ends up into some kind of airplane or weapon system or something, they all need to be CMMC certified over the next few years. We also work with SaaS companies, software companies that have SOC 2 compliance. We're actually working on our SOC 2 certification right now. Should be done in actually by the end of next month.
Nice.
So we're just very focused on that. We have very mature cybersecurity and governance like processes and procedures. Yeah, so that's kind of our world.
Nice. Well, talk to me about kind of your journey. I mean, so you started in 2014. What kind of made you start this company? Was there a particular gap that you saw in the market, or did you just think I can maybe do it better than everybody else, or what was the kind of thought process behind it?
Yeah, I guess all of the above. You just I think you probably talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and looking back, you realize you were always like this. I was at a strategic coach yesterday on the, not sure if you're familiar with that, but Dan Sullivan, it's basically a bunch of entrepreneurs, and
Yeah.
we're just like talking like, I was 11 years old. I was running around neighborhoods with a shovel when it's snowing. I was running through the neighborhood with a lawnmower when it was, summer. You just kind of always like,
Got
hey,
it
I gotta
in.
get out there and make money. So that's kind of the background. Like I didn't realize it till, later. Like, wow, it's always kind of I've always been like this. But as far as like I got into IT pretty young. I went straight to like a 2 year school. I graduated on 17. I went to a 2 year school, so I was like in the field at 19. Kind of worked for a big corporate America. Started out at UPS, then went to Computer Associates, and then Nortel Networks, and then a dot-com bubble burst. So I've been in this a long time, long
Yeah.
time. Dot-com bubble burst, and I actually moved away for a little bit, came back home at that point, and started working with a small IT break fix company. And yeah, that was kind of just like, why are we doing it this way? There's a better way to do this. Why are we doing it that way? And I was there for a while, and like all the clients that were like bigger and more complicated required a lot better like relationship management. I tend to get like as my clients, and they like I never lost a client when I was there, and then if they would pull me off and move me somewhere else, then that client, would eventually leave and stuff. And so in 2007, I decided to start my own thing, but I was kind of strapped down with like one of my biggest clients was like trying to hire me. I'm like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be an employee anymore. I want to start my own thing. And they, basically brought me on as a contractor. And I'm like, okay, so I want to get this thing going. Um, But they're a big whale of a client that takes all your time. So how are you going to grow the business? And I'm merging with another company who was supposed to do sales and marketing, and I was going to just do the operations side and build this MSP within this. They were like a logistics supply chain company for manufacturers. I hooked up with them because we were buying all the hardware through them for one of my clients. So I started this managed service division for them. 5, 6 years in, it's just like, where's the growth at? Like all the clients we have, I've kind of brought through referrals,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, I can keep complaining, or I can go start my own thing again. And 2014 went on my own again with Right Hand Technology Group, and yeah, haven't looked back. It's just I love this space. I love technology, so it's like I'm always trying to figure out a better mousetrap, a more efficient mousetrap, and this kind of gives me that outlet.
Absolutely, right. And the rest is history. So you started, so when you kind of rebranded into 2014, did you originally start as a break fix IT company, or did you go straight into like managed services?
No, I mean 2007 when I first went on my own, I went straight to managed service because again, I'm
So it was all like
so
retainer, like recurring stuff, like revenue.
yeah. I mean, when I worked for the previous company, uh, they were more break fix. They said they were an MSP, but they weren't an MSP. It was just like the closest thing they got recurring revenue was basically like recurring like time on site. So they would, you pay if you wanted somebody there once a week, you paid, whatever that is, and you paid for somebody once a month or whatever it is, and you went in and kind of did checklists and stuff. And I built out this like, I was like talking to my boss at the time. I'm like, why aren't we monitoring like event logs? We go on site once a month and look at event logs. That's a little bit late. That doesn't help the person the next day when we're not there. So I found this software called Event Reporter, and it basically and then you set up a server at your office and it just sent the event logs in and then it was basically like, hey, just have our coordinator, dispatcher, review the logs. If they see like issues, reach out to the client and say, hey, there's this issue, do you want us to fix it for you, and like be more proactive. I didn't even know managed services at the time, but like as time went on, that was like probably 2002, and then like as time went on, obviously learning more about it and everything. And cloud started becoming a big thing. It wasn't even called the cloud then. I remember I did a presentation for our largest client, like on a strategy going forward. And this was kind of when I was transitioning to my own thing, and it was like managed services. I said hosted applications. I didn't even sit. There was no such thing as the word cloud then. It was like hosted applications, and then virtualization. Like over the next few years, those things all took off. Um, so yeah, it's been quite a journey, but I'm like a super like efficiency to me is like how can I make us more efficient? How can I make us more efficient? Which again goes back to like looking back on my like childhood. Like I was always like I used to pound hammers for my dad in the summer, and I would like he'd leave me at the job site, and I'd be like, okay, how can I get this work done as quick as possible so I could sit on my butt for because it was always super hot.
Yeah.
It's like if I can get this done by 2, then I could just sit here for a couple hours and relax, listen to music. So
Nice.
it's like always trying to be super efficient with it. That's just like I did again, one of those things you realize older, like, well, I've always kind of had this like,
Always had it in you. No,
yeah,
it's really interesting to think of it like that. So how do you think over the years your so right hand technology, so you started that in 2014, how have you kind of evolved through obviously what's that 12 years ago now? I take it you've evolved and kind of yeah, evolved and progressed like into a better service. I mean, how have you kind of innovated and what's been the biggest change over the years, do you think?
yeah. So biggest change, um, started in 2014. Then like a year, all the clients I had that as I was building that division out, all came over to us. It's kind of waiting out contracts and things like that, and and then started building like our first couple hires, our team. And then in 2016, I was like, hey, I should see if I can acquire another MSP, like it's no big deal, just let's go out and acquire another one.
Yeah.
It just so happened to find a, a Team Logic franchise. The owner was ill and wanted to get out, and ended up buying his book of business, and like our client count doubled overnight.
Wow.
Now the revenue didn't double overnight, which would have made it a little better, but it was like client count doubled overnight, and the way they ran their operations versus the way we ran our operations was like totally different. Like
Oh,
everything was phone calls, everything was inside. There was even though they were a franchise, it was like totally reactive. We just had our clients trained to like use the ticketing system and all these things. And then I realized too that and then I brought on their engineer, and it was like 1.5 engineers I brought on, and they just had different ways they operated, and made me realize like, whoa, the wheels are coming off this thing. I don't
really?
have good processes and procedures. And at that point, I like really, I ended up hiring. I don't know if you ever heard of C-level ops. It's not PAX 8 Academy, I think they're called now, but
Yeah.
they help you like like kind of like coach you on weekly calls to build out all your processes and procedures.
Oh,
We
really?
worked with them for years and years, just getting very process oriented.
Yeah.
That was the biggest change because now it's just like, okay, what's the result we want? Okay, build a process delivers that result. execute that process over and over and over, and make sure your team is like following the process. Which then kind of 2019 is when we kind of transition more towards cybersecurity. All MSPs do some level of cybersecurity, but it's usually just products, and you're reselling antivirus, you're reselling EDR, you're reselling spam filter. My old boss from that previous break fix company, he left like not long after me, and
Really?
he went and kind of did his own thing, and then they ended up getting merged into another IT company. They were more like enterprise level consulting. I think he was part of that. They grew it to like 100 and some employees, and but he ended up leaving after, I don't know, 10 years or so. And so we were talking. I'm like, I'd love to have you come on, help me build this, because he was in sales and marketing side of things, and that's not my work. I'm not like that's not my like. I'm more of the engineer.
Mm.
So I'd love to have you come on and kind of run the business development side. Kind of went over everything. He saw how mature our processes were and kind of what we were doing. And then he ended up buying into the business in 2019. And his background was more enterprise, more, they did a lot of cybersecurity for the enterprise space. And I was a CISSP. So he's like, starts setting up calls with his network
Yeah.
around security, and we kind of shifted more towards cybersecurity. It was interesting because we had a very high level security guy from that he knew come in. We were kind of talking about how to turn into managed services, and we got in this big argument in the conference room, because I'm like, he's like, you can't turn this into a managed service. And I'm like, dude, everything could be a managed service.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna do it. It might as well be us. And then just so happened that my partner Josh at the time got hooked up with a company that was interested, and he was just pitching managed services, and they're like, "Yeah, what's that look like?" And I'm like, "Uh."
Not sure. Yeah.
So we got me and I had another guy working for me who was a CISSP, and he's now my service manager, Ryan. We just got a whiteboard in the room. It's just like, what would this look like, and what would we do? And like, it just started whiteboarding it. Josh closed on it, and that was the start of like the like cybersecurity governance as a managed service. You just it's software. They talk about minimal viable product all the time. It's like, just get out there, you'll
Just
figure
do
out
it.
the problems, figure out what doesn't work, and now we're like, we're 6 years into it, or 7 years into it, and it's just like
Flying.
we're very, we just got CMMC certified in November, and we're working on SOC 2, and working with clients and moving them along, and they're all gonna get certified, and so again, it's just like, it's got to have that, like, there's got to be a way. We'll figure it out. Let's charge ahead.
100%. That's such a good story. So you ended up hiring your old boss basically.
Yeah, yeah. But he ended up leaving.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, and he's still part owner. He's still involved a little bit, but he's out of the day to day, because um, yeah, when COVID hit, we lost our sales guys, and he was supposed to be more of building the team,
Yeah.
and then he got kind of more into the sales side, and really just uh didn't build systems, and then kind of bowed out, I think, in 20, was that beginning of 24, I think. And then yeah, so
That's it.
now I'm kind of handling all that.
Now you're back. Now you're a lone ranger again.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think when you're kind of just onboarding a new client or somebody's just kind of coming in? What's like the thing? How do you like bring value like straight away? How do you kind of hit the ground running? Do you fix problems? Like what is the kind of things that your clients are getting wrong in their day to day at the moment?
Yes, again, being very cybersecurity and compliance focused, is we start off with a gap analysis. So
Okay.
our onboarding, there's basically two paths going on at the same time. So there's a technical side, which is probably what most MSPs are doing, right? We're just rolling out all of our stuff that we need to take control of the environment. So I always like tell people, everything you're signing up for, it's not getting rolled out during onboarding. It would cause user problems and break things, and so we're just rolling out what we need to do to say, okay, Monday, whatever day, help desk is open, and we got control of the environment. We're confident we know enough to support you guys. Before that, you're gonna call in and you're like, "Who are you? I don't understand. I don't know anything about the system." Like, so that's kind of what onboarding is for us. In the meantime, our virtual CISOs are going through doing a gap analysis where we're interviewing people and going through, if we're using an CSF, we're going through 108 controls and figure out what's in place, what's not in place. Some of it we're bringing already, so it's like that gives us some quick wins. Um, but then from there, like like we do the gap analysis. We build on initiatives. We always like to say we want to make sure we agree on the gaps before we get started, because you don't want to go build out initiatives and roadmaps and everything, and then you start arguing over the gaps. So it's like we present the gaps. Hey, do we agree these are the gaps? Yes, we agree. Then we build out initiatives to close those gaps, prioritize them, make sure we present those, make sure we're in agreement on those initiatives. Also, they might want to have their own initiatives added to it. So we want to make sure that before we don't want to do a bunch of rework. So it's like, okay, we agree these are initiatives. Now we put it on a roadmap, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4,
Nice.
and then we present that and like, hey, this is our game plan. We agree this is a game plan. All right, let's go. And then we start executing on the roadmap. And then meanwhile, some of that stuff is going to be on the roadmap is going to be the more stuff that they signed up for, like a firewall. Like we're not unless the firewall is going to go away with the current provider. We're not looking to hurry up and get that done and cause again issues right off the bat. We're trying to stabilize and then
Yeah.
drive things forward. So that at that point we're driving our roadmap. That's basically how we create value. We kind of bring clarity of like where you're at, where we're going, and then we create a steering committee with the executive team so that every quarter or every month, depending on their size, we're showing them, hey, here's what we got done on the roadmap. Here's what's next. Here's what's held up for whatever reason. Maybe they can, maybe it's an employee that needs to do something. You're the executives. Can you go to this employee and get this
Yeah.
moving forward? Can you clear this roadblock for us? But at all times, they should know what's going on and where we're going, and not just sit there wondering like, I wonder if are we secure? I wonder, you know.
So you're very like transparent with them. So obviously you was recognised for one of the MSP 501 or ranked or something along those lines. Do you think would you put that down to just how transparent and how good you are with like your customer service, or is there anything else that's kind of put you under in terms of, do you know what I mean?
Um, well, I mean, I think we do, you know, being kind of focused on what we're focused on. I always like to tell people because most managed service providers like the goal is to minimize your interactions with the client, right? So you're charging X dollars
Yeah.
per month. The less you have to do for that, the better. And I mean, granted, we're the same way, but for us, we do that by being very heavy touch. Like, so we have to charge more because we're having steering committee meetings. A lot of our clients, we're having, especially in the beginning, we're having weekly project touch base meetings with them to drive this governance forward. So there's a lot of time, and these aren't these this isn't tier one help desk that's doing those meetings. It's the most expensive people on the team. So in order to do it, you got to charge a good
Right.
rate. You get we don't really do the per user or per seat. Like we basically put the solution together based on what they have because manufacturing, you go in one place and they got 100 computers and 20 people. You go another place, they got 700 people and 20 computers. It's just like, so we just build out the solution and then, but we're very heavy touch. We're very integrated. We're, just like I have a fractional CFO. I mean, he feels like he's part of my company. He doesn't feel like he's like just some, internet provider out there somewhere. So same way with us. We're part of the team. We learn the business. We learn the people. Um, I think that helps drive a healthy company on our side. And then I think that's what MSP 501 kind of recognizes.
Yeah,
We've
absolutely.
climbed up. I think we were like 486 when we first started. I think, and last year we were 78. So it's like
Nice.
cool every year, and cool for the team to
Yeah,
like,
you're working on it.
yeah, it's
Get
like we want to get into that top 10. Like, but there's some big boys in the top 10. So I don't know.
absolutely. You got your work cut out for you, but well, yeah, we like a challenge, don't we? What else do you kind of think makes a healthy MSP? What do you think is a lot of the stuff that a lot of MSP owners are getting kind of wrong with how they're doing their business and running their business in terms of could be pricing or it could just be what they're offering, anything like that.
Well, definitely pricing. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure you talk to a lot of people. I mean, like where I'm at, and this is there's a lot of this in the states, like in certain cities. Like there's an MSP every 5 feet.
well, yeah, there's loads of them.
I mean, it's just
Right.
like, and there's no barrier of entry. So people just like, hey, I could live off of X amount of dollars per month. Let, let me
Yeah.
go charge $50 a user. And then of course the client gets, the clients get shafted because you can't support them properly, and then they're
Mm.
complaining about response times and everything else, or they got big security gaps because there's no way you're doing proper security at a lower. So I think the dollar amount, which then just feeds on everything else, right? Because you can't deliver well, which means you're going to struggle with service. If you're the leader, you're going to struggle getting out of service to work on the business. We're in peer groups, so we see it. We see it in our peer group, and then someone leaving, and then the owner is back in the field. I mean, doing doing service calls on site and all those things. So I think that's like you have to charge enough to
100.
deliver what the clients really want. Clients, um, they don't just want price. Well, what's the old saying? Like, get cheap and fast. Like, kind of figure out which two the client wants because they're not getting all three, and or pick what you want to be. I guess ultimately, right? Like, I don't want to be cheap. Like
No,
that's
definitely not.
I
No.
always tell people like I want us to be like I don't know if you ever watch the show Suits. You ever see the
Yeah, I've
shows?
seen suits.
It's like yeah, I want to be like those high priced attorneys that come in like yeah they're expensive but they get the job done
But
like
they get the job done and they do it
yeah
in style. Yeah,
yeah I
absolutely.
always wanted to be that versus the like well they're the cheapest guy in town.
Mm. And I feel like that all comes from your like positioning, don't it, and the value that you bring. I feel like you can absolutely tell the difference between a client that would want somebody who is the cheapest and somebody who would want kind of real value. That's a good point, actually. How would you kind of go about demonstrating your value to a client that's maybe said there's somebody that's cheaper or like oh he can do it for X amount? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I don't know if you know Chartech again. I might throw out all these names in the
I
MSP
know.
space, but Chartech is like a sales. They do sales training.
Okay.
Um, and I just remember, we did it years ago, and I remember them saying like your sales process is your differentiator. So like I just talked to a prospect the other day, and he's like, I thought he said like 7 or 8 different companies, and they're just throwing quotes at me, and they don't even know like what what our problems are. So for us, we take time. Like we have a sales process we follow. I don't know how many times we get to the end of the sales process and like you guys are so thorough because like we go through, we want to understand your business, we want to understand um, again, this is kind of Sandler sales training or question based selling of just like, what are the pains? Like, what are they actually dealing with? For us, again, being in cybersecurity and compliance, there's typically some type of compliance requirement. So, like CMMC, it's like, if you don't get certified, you don't work in the DoD supply chain. So, how much of your revenue is tied up in,
Yeah.
in those contracts? So, that's a big thing. But then also try to understand, like, hey, if this happened, like what would that mean to your customers and what in your business? So getting them to understand the real risk, and then one of the first things I always like to go over is just the our proven process. So like explaining them, here's where we're at stage one. We're I mean, it might be our first call. And it's like we're in the first. This is the qualifying stage. I'm trying to figure out if I can help you, and you're somebody that you think that I can help you. And then like we have probably 7, 8 steps in our sales process to get to the point where I'm giving you a quote or not a quote, but a proposal. And then I walk them through the rest of it. This is what it's going to be like to work with us. We're very process driven. We're going to go into onboarding. We're going to go into gap analysis and building out a roadmap. And then we move in execution. And every year we circle back. We do that gap analysis again. We build out a new game plan and just, we get in this cycle of everyone says that cybersecurity is a process, but that's the process. You got to keep you got to keep cycling through it. Um, so that's and if they don't like that or they don't really like they just because a lot of small businesses this happens in finance too, like accounting services, like they just want to offload. Like here, you just take care of it, leave me
Just do
out of
it.
it. Yeah, and it's like well, that's who gets taken advantage of and screwed in the end, right? Like you always hear horror stories of bookkeepers stealing money and
Yeah.
um, same thing. Like if you're just going to abdicate it, you're not the right client for us because we need clients that ultimately you're on the hook. It's your business. We're going
They're
to
putting
make sure
their
you
job
know what you're on the hook for and can address it. But ultimately, it's still your business. It's not my business. I'm going to give you my advice based on the risks, and it's your call. I'll give you my recommendation. So if they're not interested in that, they're not going to be a good fit for it. Like they have to be engaged. It's like the big again. We create that steering committee because we want engagement from the leadership team, not just our champion or the one person, our main contact. I'm talking about the whole executive team because I don't know how many calls I've been on where you bring something up and someone gives you an answer and then someone else jumps in and is like that's not right. And you find out there's like this major risk, right? But with their business. So you can't just have just that one person. A lot of times people just that's the other thing. A lot of people just like if we're doing like a co-manage situation, they'll try and just offload us to the IT person. And it's like, well, you're trusting this IT person to make all the decisions. If they knew enough to make those decisions,
They do
you
it,
wouldn't
yeah.
need us. They'd be doing it for you. So like we need you to be involved. And yeah, they can help us with the technical stuff, but we need, you know, business decision makers involved or else it's not gonna work.
It's a really interesting approach, actually. So, what could we kind of unpack your sales process and your sales cycle, obviously, without revealing too much of your deepest, darkest secrets? Like, what are you kind of? You said you got a really good sales process. Could you mind kind of sharing a little bit about that and how it kind of how you think it is successful?
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's not. I don't think we have any intellectual property tied up in this. I mean, we're basically learning from. I'm a big believer in going out to find the best. The best, and learn from them. Um, I've done Sandler sales training, of chart tech, but basically, for us, it starts off with a quick 15-minute appointment, where it's just trying to decide, like, are you even
Okay,
qualified?
even
Like,
worth it, yeah.
yeah, I mean, do I think we can help you, and do I think that you're going to basically be whatever, our criteria, meet our criteria for a client, right size and, you know, um, so that's basically a qualifying call. And then basically the qualifying call, we're closing on the discovery or needs analysis. And typically those can go two ways. If we know they don't have anything, like we can go through and do a gap analysis up front. Um, but it's like you don't have anything, so let's just we know you need everything, so we'll kind of talk more on the business side and risk and things like that and what they're planning on doing and how the business operates um, and then we'll kind of move into solution. A lot of times they don't know, or it might be a co-managed situation where they have an IT person. We'll do what we call our right century snapshot. It's People charge a lot more money for it than we do, but we charge like just enough to make sure they put in the effort and there's some value there. But we basically go and do a gap analysis like I was describing, and we're going to basically go through whatever we're aligning them to. So NIST CSF, CMMC, ISO, whatever requirement we're trying to align them to. If they have one, if they don't, we just use the NIST CSF, and we do a gap analysis. Then we do kind of the old school um, technical scans, rapid fire tools, those type of things, and like pull actual data because we want to marry that up to the gap analysis. Like, you said you have patching, but have your computers are patched, this type of thing. Especially when you got, when it's a co-man situation with IT. And then we also have a business conversation with the leaders to understand like who's their customers, how do they work, like how do you make your money,
Yeah.
what vendors you work with, like like how's the business function, because that helps with the business impact of it, right? Like if you don't understand their business, it's kind of hard to tie the risk to an actual impact. Like if you just go in and you got 110 risks, okay, well that doesn't tell me anything. If you say you got 110 risks, but this one here is gonna put you out of business if you don't take care of it. Um, so kind of understanding all that, and then come away, put together their solution, which I mean it's not like everybody's unique. I mean it's pretty much mostly the same. We have just kind of different um, basically different programs based on what compliance requirements they have, or maybe they don't have a compliance requirement and they need an MSP, but they need to have solid security from the jump. They're not like advanced where they need to be in the CSF compliant or whatever. So just kind of figuring out what's going to address their needs, and then we put that together. We come back and present. Here's what we found. Here's your gaps. Here's your risks, and then here's the program we're recommending you to go to. I always like to tell people, I know this isn't necessarily chart tech or Sandler probably, but I was like say, hey, I'm just trying to get on the green here.
Mm,
Like if I get a hole in one, if this is like, yeah, this is perfect, hole in one, great, let's move forward. If not, but it sounds like we're on the green, let's just talk about what needs tweaked. Because then at that point, if they move into tweaking, then
and
you
you got
basically got the deal. You're just like working out the detail, minute details. Um, and usually there's not much tweaking. Usually, like I always say, we just want to confirm the numbers, confirm like the number of users and workstations. But if you're in that phase of tweaking, it's a high likelihood that it's gonna close. So, and then we move into agreements. Putting the agreements together and sending them over and follow up, follow up, follow up.
it's a very thorough, like it is a very, very thorough sale. There's very custom and personalized to them, so that definitely does help.
Yeah, and what's beautiful, but especially when we do the right century snapshot, is you get to see what it's like working with us. Like it's my VCISO that's going to do the gap analysis. It's my service manager having one of the engineers that are going to run the scans. Like you get to see the team and see like, hey, do I like these people? And everybody loves them. So it's just like I know if we get in there, we used to do. I used to because we have like a coaching for cybersecurity, like a VCISO coaching program where we'll work with like a client that has IT people and stuff and just coach them through doing these things. We follow the same process. It's just instead of us doing the work, they're doing the work. And then I kind of got that idea from C level with the way they helped us with processes. Um, so I started offering like a free month of that just because I was like, I know if they work with my team for a month with
Yeah,
4 coaching calls and basically it's usually the gap analysis. So it worked. Like everyone that went through it, it was the problem was, and this is why I switched to the snapshot, is it was free. It
yeah,
was like this is like super valuable.
and it's
You're
free.
getting a gap analysis done, and it was free, and it was harder to sell than something that costs money. So it was just like, okay, we're done with the free thing. We're gonna do a snapshot. It's very minimal investment, and then we guarantee it. Like, hey, if at the end of it you don't feel like it was valuable, we'll give you your money back. Because chances are, if you think it was valuable, probably don't want to work together anyways.
Yeah, 100%. And people value stuff that they pay for a lot more than if it's free. So,
It's amazing how hard it is to sell something free. Like,
especially on the front end as well. Yeah,
yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's so interesting that you actually did. So, did you actually see some friction when it was free? Did you think like, why
Well, it
is
was
that?
just it was slow. It was like,
Yeah,
yeah, let me think about it. It's like, what's there to think about? It's free. Let's go.
it's free. No, yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy. So over the years, then you must have tried some like kind of marketing strategies and some like I mean, what have been kind of the favorite acquisition strategies for clients that you guys have been using over the years? Is there anything in particular that's worked or worked well?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that works the best for us at this point, hopefully we build some more predictable systems that, it's just like, okay, you need more out of the fire, throw more logs on the fire, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's going to produce heat. But the thing that's worked the best to this point, I would say, is referral partners. So just finding those people that are already talking to your prospects, building relationships with them. Everybody loves referring people to make them look good. So there's like nothing better than like we get a referral from say a quality, someone that does quality management consulting, and then we go into one of their clients, and then the client's raving about us. Like they're gonna send you more business.
Of
And then we
course.
have a referral program too. So that quality consultant, like they're gonna make money off of the referral too. So it's like a win-win, right?
Yeah.
You get an annuity. Like we pay an annuity, so you basically kind of like the telcos do, right? Like you send somebody through a telco like broker, and then you get a kind of piece of the um, the ongoing telco services or internet services. So it's kind of the same thing. They refer somebody to us. We close. They're going to get an ongoing annuity during the agreement, but they also look good. It's like that's been our best avenue. We've also had some decent luck recently. Again, it's not like tons of it, but we've had some decent luck on LinkedIn using direct outreach and DMs and things like that. So, and then the old school stuff, networking and client referrals and stuff. But
Nice.
I would say the
Nice.
more referral partners you can get, the better.
100%. So do you think going forward, would you be open to kind of selling AI? I mean, I'm not sure what your perspective is on AI, but I mean, a lot of the MSPs are now obviously adopting it internally, using it like on behalf of their clients. I mean, would you actually ever sell AI? Do you think that's the route that you would go down?
Yeah, I mean, I have an interesting story here. So I dove into AI. Again, I'm an engineer. Like, I
Yeah.
love technology. I love efficiency. 2 years, I think it was about 2 years ago, I kind of just dove into it myself. Part of this is because when my business partner left, I took over sales and marketing. I'm like, okay, I need to hire a fractional CMO to drive marketing. And I got so frustrated with the fractional CMO. I hired the fractional CMO and the fractional CFO at the same time. CFO is still with me, but the CMO, 6 months in, I was just like, what are we doing? Well, I'm working on this strategy. Listen, strategy shouldn't take as long for a company my size. But in the meantime, I was diving into AI and, watching a lot of videos and started building out automations for myself, marketing automations, things that could help me with marketing as I was waiting for this magical strategy to come about. And so eventually I'm just like, well, I created all this. I got all this going on, then canceled and terminated the CMO. And then, um, and then basically took a lot of that and now I have my son working for me part time while he's in school, and he's just executing on the pieces that like I built out. Like nothing obviously is like 100% with AI, right? It's like get 80% of it done with AI, and then make
Yeah.
the
Still need
last
that
20.
human touch, yeah.
Yeah, so he kind of does that. Like I build out process again. I'm processing procedures. Now he's kind of doing that. And he's kind of improving upon it. Um, so a lot of the stuff that like people see about me now on LinkedIn or Facebook and like all that stuff is built from these automations, not all of it, but kind of built from the automations and then expanding on them. Like my quotes, like that's all comes from, but it's all me. So like the quotes come from meetings that I'm like this meeting, although my Fireflies isn't in here, but like, normally I have Fireflies in my meetings and I have automations that kick off and grab my transcript and pull out quotes and then send them to me to review and then I approve them and then they get like, that stuff's all automated. Just some approval steps that go to teams. I have it go in the teams and then I approve it. Um, and then, yeah, so a lot of that stuff got built out. And then the end game was to basically learn it well enough to build a managed service. They said to me, everything is a managed service. Like you don't just go out, which I do see happening already, of just going out and pushing AI products on your clients.
Yes.
But to me, everything is management down, which I think one of my quotes just went out last week of from one of my meetings talking about the same thing, but like management down. So cybersecurity, you're going to get a vCISO who's going to run the program, do gap analysis, planning, road mapping, all that stuff, and then drive it forward. IT, there's a virtual CIO that's going to line you up with IT best practices, lifecycle management, all those things. Obviously, analyze tickets to see if we can get rid of recurring issues, and they're going to build it. We'll have one consolidated roadmap, but like they're going to add to the roadmap and then drive that all forward. And then I see the same thing with AI. Like somebody has to be that virtual AI officer for your company and drive the program forward. They're not going to be able to do everything because AI is a pretty wide spectrum as well, but they're going to be able to drive the huge value um, with AI adoption, with AI use cases that can basically use the models and some automation. They're not going to like we work with manufacturing. They're not going to be able, well, at least I think an MSP is not going to be able to go to your test floor and take in sensor data and train mod, basically do machine learning. That's going to require bringing an outside resource, but that's kind of same thing as IT, right? Like if you put in an ERP system, your MSP is probably not going to do it. You're going to have to bring in an ERP expert. So I kind of look at it the same way. Um, so that was my plan to launch that. I built out the whole process. I built out the AI use case workshop process. I did a proof of concept with four of our clients. Went really well. That's where I learned that you kind of need to lead with learning first. You need to lead with the training side of it. And I was getting ready to launch it, and we sat for our CMMC audit, and I'm like, sweet, we got our CMMC audit. This is like there's 80,000 companies or more that need to be certified over the next 3 years. So it's like a blue
Yeah.
ocean right now. And I'm like, who the heck's going to do this AI work? I'm the one that did the POC. I'm the one that built everything out. My team's a cybersecurity team. Like, they're not geared for the AI stuff. So I was like, we met with our leadership team. I'm like, I think we're just going to have to table this for now and not distract the
Really?
team. Um, so I've been networking. Pittsburgh's very big in AI with Carnegie Mellon. So I've been networking a lot locally. I do want to launch either a joint venture or probably a joint venture or a partnership because I do have talking to a lot of these AI guys. They're very project based. It feels like the old cybersecurity conversation I had back in 2019. Like, no, this is a managed service. We're thinking about projects,
Yeah.
and like so. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I do want to do it at some point because I think it's a huge opportunity. But as an entrepreneur, it's very easy to distract your team with the next next
100%.
thing.
And yourself. Yeah.
Luckily, I'm maturing a little bit, I think, on that regard, and I'm like, hold on, I'm gonna just distract my team from what they're really good at. And AI and cybersecurity are going to go hand in hand, so it's not like I have to worry about AI wiping out security. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if I said it's a little bit of a story,
Oh, I like
but
it.
I think there's a huge
Massively.
opportunity.
It's definitely tempting, isn't it, to kind of jump ship and take your eye off the prize. So what you said is absolutely bang on. So where do you kind of see yourself before we wrap up? Where do you kind of see your company, yourself, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years? Have you got any goals that you'd be happy to talk about, or anything that you want to accomplish in that time?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to keep excelling where we're at in our cybersecurity and compliance. Again, like I said, the CMMC is basically a 3-year rollout. I think it's 4 phases, but phase 4 is everybody has to be certified.
Yeah,
So there's a huge opportunity right now. So I just want to really capitalize on this opportunity, um, stretch my team because again, when we set the goals like getting CMMC compliant or certified, you see your team really shine versus just kind of everyday maintaining, maintenance stuff. So be able to set more goals like that. Like this year, our goal is to get 4 of our clients through certification, which
nice.
is which is funny because we're trying to lock down the 4 clients and it's trying to get them to commit. Like, hey, if
Yeah,
we're draw a line in the sand, we want to get this done this year, um, and because it's not cheap to get done. But that's kind of I see the next few years. Myself, I just want to kind of expand on the management team or leadership team, get somebody in here to take over sales and marketing once and for all,
yeah,
um, and kind of grow the leadership team. So I'm more just sitting up in that. I don't know if you know EOS, but we're an EOS shop. So, visionary, integrator, leadership team. So I kind of want to get myself in one seat, up in the visionary seat, focused on where we're going. Because again, I've been pretty good just because I love this stuff of being ahead of the curve.
yeah.
It's just I don't have the infrastructure and everything else to kind of like always capitalize in the right speed. So I kind of want to get to that point where I can do that, more quickly.
That's interesting. I've really enjoyed this conversation, because it's you've actually just kind of broke it all down. I appreciate it a lot. If
Yes.
the audience would like to get in touch with you, Jason, where could they actually find you, or if they want to learn more about right hand technology?
Yeah, I mean our website's it's a little long, but it's pretty simple. technologygroup.com.
Yeah,
You can find me on LinkedIn at Jason Vanzin. Yeah, we're on YouTube. I mean, we don't, we're not like YouTube stars or anything, but I usually whatever I put on LinkedIn is typically going to YouTube as well. So, and then when we have webinars, those obviously stream live on YouTube. Those are the main places.
so I'll put your links in the description, Jason. But thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Finn. It's great talking to you.